Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Unplugged Woodworking's podcast. So what have I been up to? I have finally cut and fitted all of the Japanese dovetails. I'll put a picture up here, and that's going to be for a breakfast bench, as I've been banging on about forever. So it's nice. It's kind of it's nice. It's kind of getting done now. There's been quite a few problems with it. That's mostly down to the material, spalted beech. Some of it's really hard and some of it's like ridiculously soft. I did actually have some damage when I was actually fitting these. Again, I'll put a picture just to show you. So somehow I managed to snap two of the pins, and these were either end, so I'm leaning more towards that. As I've been pairing with the chisel, I've actually leaned into it because my belly's getting rather fat, so I think I've like literally leaned into the two end pins and snapped them. I think I could be wrong, but maybe not on this particular occasion. In my defense, the two end pins were actually portions of the really soft material, which typically in this board was the white material. I'll be honest, I don't think I'll ever do like anything as complicated as this with spalted beech again. I do love spalted beech. Like, the look of it's absolutely gorgeous, and that's the whole reason I bought the boards, because it's spalted beech. It's really beautiful. But I really don't think I'm gonna be going like cutting Japanese dovetails in them again. I may, who knows, in the future I may, have to or want to do some sort of dovetails in them, but I don't think it's going to be anything as complicated as what I've done. There has been some of it that's been rather gappy. I see some of it. I'm probably being a little bit overcritical on myself. I think there may have been four or five of them that I wasn't happy with. That's not bad considering how many there is. I can't remember how many there is. There's quite a few, obviously, pin sections. With the damaged pins and the pins with like some gap, I'm actually going to use a technique I was told by, I think it was Somerset or Summers Woodworking. I can't quite remember. I have spoke about him in the podcast. This guy he really does some phenomenal types of dovetails. He's like, you name it, he's probably done the type of dovetail. That's kind of, I hope I'm saying this right, but it's kind of his speciality sort of thing. And he was very kind to share technique with us, and basically there's a few other people that know this technique, and the technique is basically where you'll get a small ballpoint hammer and basically just tap on the top of the end grain, and this kind of gives you a mushroom effect. So it pushes the grain out. So if you're hitting on top of it, it's kind of like a chisel. If you see a well-worn chisel, and it has a mushroom effect, it's kind of the same sort of thing. I think that's probably the way I'm going to go with that. There was someone, I believe it was on Instagram, I can't quite remember the guy's name. He suggested steaming, and it's never ever crossed my mind to do anything like that, because obviously this isn't the first time anything like this has happened with dovetails. So that was quite interesting, because it kind of makes sense. It'll swell it, but I'm not too sure with the glue. I mean, would you do this? Would you actually get it glued together, apply the steam, and then would it expand and then stick to the other two faces, or would you let the glue dry and then do it, or would you steam that particular pin and then do the glue up? So I'm not kind of too sure with that one, but it is quite interesting, and I may have a try of that just to see how I get on with it, because I do like to try new techniques, you know, for the sake of it's only going to be like a cloth and an iron. It's not like a major deal with it. So I did actually start making the legs on the other side, because this is I was initially kind of thinking about doing like an N shape, if you will, but I'm kind of leaning away from that just because of the problems I've had with the dovetails. So what I've actually done, I've actually started making some legs. So I've actually ripped some oak boards down just because they were cupped. You know, there was quite a bad cup in them, so I've ripped them straight down the middle. Obviously it would have been better just to have a solid blank, but because these have been, like, you know, they're quite badly cupped, so I would have had to have cut them in half, planed them as best I could, glue them back together, and then flatten the whole board again. I mean, and doing that by hand it can be quite a task in itself. So I've opted for this, to use them cup boards up. Basically, they're 1 inch thick, 200 wide. So I've ripped them straight down the middle, sandwiched them together, 4 pieces, and it's going to create a leg. The leg's going to be like, you know, like 100 millimeters or 4 inch squared. So I don't think it's going to look too bad, because the grain itself is actually running relatively straightish when I've put them all together, so it's not going to be too noticeable. At least I hope not. Obviously I've still got to plane things down there and see the end result, but I think it's going to be fine. Basically, I'm going to just mortise and tenon the joints together. I've still got some issues of how I'm going to attach the other end. That'll be the end that's coming down to the floor. That'll be like the spalted beech board. I've still got some issues with that. Not issues as in problems, it's just kind of issues in deciding how I'm going to do it. I did initially want to stay away from any sort of screws, but it looks like I may possibly use them. Again, I'm going to have to see how I feel about it, and knowing me, it'll probably be the spare of the minute sort of thing. So what impressed me? So I think this was some time ago. I actually saved the video, and it was quite clever, and I totally forgot all about this video. This was an Instagram reel, and I've never seen anything like this, not this type. And this is a locking, like a locking joint, if you will. So I'll put a video up on the screen, and I have seen other sorts of locking joints. Kind of well, to be honest, the only other sort of locking joint I've seen, well, two locking joints I've seen, and that's I think it's a Japanese joint, and that's kind of like the joint locks together in sort of 3 ways, and you can take the joint apart, and it doesn't matter which way you do it, all the joints fit, and they're kind of like, they've got hexagonal like heads. I'll see if I can get a picture up to show you that after this video, or maybe the same time if I've got any room on the screen. And the other style of locking joint I've seen is kind of a sliding dovetail, where you've got the sliding dovetail, but it's got sections cut out of it, kind of similar to a haunch on a mortise and tenon joint, that sort of effect. So when you put it in, it kind of goes in like the top of a castle, if you will, and you'll tap it along, and obviously it locks into place. So like the haunch section, if you will, is kind of just to allow you to get the piece in, and then when it's tapped, it locks itself in. And that's the only other one I've seen, until obviously I've come across this one. So this one's quite clever. I don't know how well it would hold up, and I don't really know what it's used for or what it was invented for. It might be worth us looking into that, because things like that do interest us. But basically, as you can see on the screen if you're watching, this is just a round mortise joint, but it's got a kind of a little how would you describe that? Like a bit of a fan section, a bit of a bit of a lip. So when it goes into the hole, the female hole or section, if you will, that kind of looks pretty, to me at least, it looks like a keyhole. Like a really old-fashioned keyhole, how they were done, like, in the 18th century and stuff. That's what it looks like to me. So obviously, if you can imagine that sort of shape, and the fan piece or the lip piece, however you want to think about it, that's actually tapered at the back, so that goes down at a bevel, and that's pretty much how it locks in. So you would put it in same sort of thing, you would turn it like a key and it locks into position. Again, like I say, I don't know how good or bad that would lock, and I don't know the uses of it, just with the integrity of it being kind of in question. I suppose you could actually maybe put like 2 notches on it, and that would obviously strengthen it up. But as it moves, you've got the problem of compression. So as the structure's moving, if it's, I don't know, some sort of table or whatever, I really don't know the application what you would use it in. But if it's going to move like left to right, backwards and forwards, I think there would be some compression, and I think it would kind of come loose towards the end. That's kind of the logic in my head, but I might be very wrong with that. So today, a bit of a change. I thought I would talk about making money in woodworking, or the journey I've kind of been going through, and I'm still going through it. So that's probably not an accurate title. Probably a better title would probably be the money I've made or lack thereof. That's probably a better title. The latter being more accurate. So I'm just kind of going to go over a few things, my experiences. So I'm going to kind of cover like the kind of the furniture making problems I've had, and I'm actually going to touch on the social media side of things, because I do make a very small amount of money, and I do mean very small amount of money, and that's kind of something that I want to pursue a little bit more, just so I've basically got more free time to build things, really, because I really do enjoy joinery, and I do like to show people what I'm doing, and if at all possible, I like to help people out, on their woodworking journey. So I'm going to talk about all that today. So kind of, when did I start selling furniture? So I kind of started selling furniture absolutely ages and ages ago. I can't remember the kind of time. It might have been maybe 10 to 12 years ago when I really started like to sell it. At the time when I started doing it, it was literally to make myself some money. I wasn't working at the time. There wasn't a lot of work happening. I've been a scaffolder since I left school, pretty much. But I've always had a passion for joinery. I actually left school, and I went straight to college. This is what I was advised to do, which was totally wrong. In hindsight, I'm not going to go into that, but I went straight to college, got me MVQ level 1, 2. Did I get 3? I can't quite remember. No, I think it was only 2. I think I'd done the 1 and 2 MVQ, and trying to get a job, couldn't get a job. But as I was kind of doing my NVQ level 1 and 2, my cousin, who's also a scaffolder, kind of says, I've got some work for you, do you want some work? So obviously I was broke at the time, no money or nothing, so obviously I started scaffolding, just labouring, and obviously 25 years later, here I am. So over the years I've always tinkered with things. First I started selling on eBay, and at the time, as I said, I wasn't working at the time. Scaffolding can be hitty missy sometimes. It depends. as I'm recording this, there's actually a lot of work for scaffolding or scaffolders. You know, I could literally walk out of one job and walk into another job tomorrow. But for a long time, I've absolutely hated scaffolding. So obviously, hence why I've tried to like, you know, get into joinery, like furniture making, you know, to sell it to make a living, which I've tried several times, and obviously I haven't succeeded. I first started selling it on eBay. This was pallet furniture. Obviously, pallet wood is free. And I did actually sell, you know, bits and bobs of it here and there. I'll see if I can get some pictures up of some of the projects I have done. There's definitely one picture I have still got, and that was like a kind of a bit of a side, like a side unit, if you will. One side had shelves going all the way down, and it had a door on it. And I actually quite liked it, and I looked at the picture not so long ago, and I thought, you know, for my skill level at that time and the material, I thought it was quite good, you know. Obviously, there's people that will say yeah or nay with it, like, but I'll see if I can get a picture up of that. So, you know, I was building things like that. I sold a ton of like rustic coffee tables, you know. When I was getting the pallet wood, I was like, you know, I was aging it basically, you know, using nails, you know, when you bang the nails and bolts in, you know, I was using the chisel and taking big chunks out of it, and, you know, and whatever else, and making it look really rustic. You know, it's not a difficult thing to do, to make a piece of furniture look rustic. So I was, you know, I sold quite a few of them, but the problem being with that is that there wasn't a lot of people prepared to pay the money I wanted for it. So, you know, a lot of those tables that I made, and even that unit, say the side unit, I think I sold that unit for like £40, and the time and effort that went into it, you know, distressing the wood and finishing it, and, you know, actually going out and getting the pallet, you know. So there was a lot of hours in it. I can't quite remember the hours that I put into it, but there was a lot of hours, and when I look back now, it was worth a lot more than £40. I think there's like £40 or £45 it went for. It was something ridiculous. I was living at my mum's at the time. I think I just split up with a girlfriend, I think. And at the time, my mum couldn't believe that I had let it go for such a price. She was like, "You're mad, you're really mad." And looking back on it now, I was kind of, yeah, I kind of might be a little bit mad. So one of the problems with that is that people didn't want to pay the money, and a lot of people's attitudes with pallet wood is that it's just pallet wood. I could go out and get some pallet wood and make that. So the argument always is, well, why don't you do that? And it's like, well, I haven't got the time. It's like, exactly, you haven't got the time, because it takes time to go out to find the pallets, and then it takes time to pull them apart. Then it takes time to do what you do with it, to actually make it into a table or whatever you're going to make into it. And there's a lot of people that just really don't appreciate your time and efforts. Don't get us wrong, there is some people that are like, wow, really love it, really appreciate the time and effort you put into it, blah, blah, blah. There is some people like that, but the majority, in my experience, the majority of people don't appreciate the time and effort, and they're not willing to pay it. They want it, but they're not willing to pay it. And there had been numerous times where I'd stuck my heels into the ground when I'm not letting that go for any less than however much it was at the time. I can't remember how much. And they would just lie there. They would lie there and lie there on eBay. And, you know, kind of, when I wasn't working, I was kind of need the money, you know. So obviously I just had to lower the price, and as soon as I lowered the price, they went. You know, and at the time, I remember thinking to myself that the time and effort I've put into this, it's like, it's crazy, you know. So I started moving away from pallets, and that kind of happened when I I enrolled for a turbine course, and this was for wind turbine courses, and I remember enrolling for it. At the same time, I got offered some work, obviously scaffolding, and I really don't like scaffolding. I wanted a career change, so I refused to work, and I started this course. I met a guy there called, I believe his name was Anthony. He was actually a Scouser. I don't know what he was doing up there, the northeast of England. I think he'd met a girl, as you do. And he was also on the course, so kind of got talking one day and telling him like what I like to do, you know, furniture and whatnot. So he says, why don't you try Etsy? Why don't you try selling on Etsy? I'd never ever tried selling on Etsy, so obviously started selling on Etsy. Obviously my skills started getting better and whatnot. I actually ended up leaving that course simply for money. I got offered some more work, and I was like really broke at the time. Obviously not making a lot, having to attend the course, so wasn't giving us a lot of time to, you know, make furniture. So so yeah, I took the work, but I did actually open an Etsy account, and you know, from there till now, I've still got an Etsy account. I think it's kind of, I haven't got anything like kind of listed at the moment. I kind of like pulled myself away from it. One of the problems with the Etsy shop was like, or I suppose with any shop, you get best sellers, and one of my best sellers was the tape cassette coffee tables. I'll put a picture on the screen here. They sold really well. People loved them, and even myself, I still don't own one or haven't made one for myself. They are really good. They look really cool. Yeah, they're not really practical, you know, to put things on, or if you spill something on them, I would imagine, you know, you would have to get it off pretty quick. But yeah, they do look pretty cool, and I sold so many of them. In fact, I sold so many that I was absolutely sick of making them. I was so sick of making them, you know. And the majority that I made of them, you know, I made most of them by hand, you know, and they're actually quite time consuming to do by hand. I think the first 2 or 3 that I made, obviously that was back in the day when I was using power tools and stuff. They actually still took a long time as well, you know, because I was still learning how to use stuff and still learning tricks and whatever else. But I mean, even then, I undercut myself. I think the first ever table I made, it was I think it was made from Sapelli, and I think I let that go for about £300. Same again, there was loads of people that like told us, you're absolutely crazy, you're mad. So I sold loads of them, but that's one of the problems. It just gets so repetitive to a point. Like, I think the last 2 I made, I had no interest in it at all, and you could see it in the work. You know, me from me standard when I didn't mind making them and I enjoyed making them, to the standard where I was like kind of, I've had enough. So when I got to that point, I delisted them, because, you know, it's not fair for someone to pay the hard-earned money, you know, for something that's not up to standards. I mean, by other people it probably would have been up to standards, but sometimes I can be overcritical with myself, and I just, you know, what other people don't notice, I do notice, especially with my own work. So I delisted it. I think shortly after that I kind of just stopped selling altogether, because there was other things that was just getting repetitive, and I just wasn't enjoying woodworking anymore. And the whole reason I woodwork is because I enjoy it. So some of the other problems with Etsy were the fees. The fees can be absolutely extortionary. that's another thing in itself when you start adding everything up. So one of those tables, on average, I did sell them at different prices, but on average they were roughly £500. So it was approximately, it could be anywhere from like £100 to £150 worth of material that went into it. That depending on what I had lying around at the time. I might have had something spare left over from another project, but if I didn't, it was 100, 150. As I say, that depends. So that was just for the wood itself, and then obviously you've got the glue on top of that, and there was there's like acrylic, like a see-through acrylic, like a PVC window sort of thing. So obviously you've got to go out and buy that, and they can be quite expensive. And then you've got the delivery on top of that. So towards the end, when I stopped selling, I was paying in the region of about £60. That was kind of getting us anywhere in the UK. Obviously, I never ever. Sorry, I tell a lie. I did send one shipment over to Germany. That was a real nightmare, which I'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, I was paying on average £60 to get it delivered in the UK. I did actually start using Etsy's advertising, and that worked great. But on that specific table, when I was advertising, and if the sale was going through on their like advertising link, they were charging us £75. They were like literally taking £75 off that purchase. So if you've got the £150 plus the £75 they were taking off us, and then the £60 for delivery, the whole thing was like £500. In the time it took us, I was making peanuts, so that was one of the bad things. There was occasion when I did get like a cash in hand job, and sometimes I might have had some spare material and I was able to do it, so I did kind of score that way, but that was very few and far between. So for me at least, I had major problems with logistics, getting things delivered. So I think I've talked about this before. So the time I delivered 7 of the cassette tables to Germany, I wrapped these up to an inch of the life with bubble wrap and stuck them in boxes. Sent them over to Germany, and they kind of got lost. There was an issue with the address. The woman would give us an address, she'd give us the wrong postcode. And this was to go into a cafe. I think the guy's cafe, I think he was like some sort of like German DJ, like a radio DJ, I think. And obviously he just opened a new cafe, so he wanted these in. And I believe it was his girlfriend or his wife was basically dealing with me. And that was just a total nightmare from start to finish. I really don't think I'd do anything like that again. If I did, there would be an unlimited amount of time or more amount of time. So that was a very stressful time. She was constantly like messaging us saying like, yeah, updates, how's it going? And I can't really say anything about that because you've paid a lot of money and you want it done, and I did at the time I did say I can't do them straight away, there's going to be a time scale when I can do them. I explained I was doing them by hand, but she was still on top of us, not in a nasty way, but just like kind of like, yeah, don't forget you've got them to do, don't be messing around, kind of get them done. Not said like that, obviously. She's she's a nice person, she wasn't nasty. So as I said, they got lost in Germany. They eventually found them, and from what I gather, I could be wrong with this, but reading in between the lines, it sounded like she'd went onto the postal service over there and basically give the postal service a good reaming and like a really abrupt and rude with them. That's what it sounded like to me, but I'm just kind of reading between the lines. And lo and behold, when she got them, they were badly damaged. The tables were really badly damaged. So I personally think she's been really lippy with the postal service, and the postal service has said, oh, you'll get your tables, but you won't get them in one piece. And lo and behold, when she got them, there was legs snapped, and there was quite a bit of damage to one or two of them, and then she started giving me a hard time, saying I hadn't adequately wrapped them properly. And yes and no. Other than that, it would have to be a crate service, and she didn't want to pay for the crate service. So what can you do? So that was such a stressful time for me. There was other things going on in my life. I was splitting up with a girlfriend at the time, so me stress level was through the roof, and it was just all got on top of us. That was a really bad time. So that's kind of something you should expect if you're going to be kind of pursuing woodworking full time. It can be pretty stressful when you've got deadlines and you've got people who who are going to be on top of you. You've got to think of how that affects friends and family and whatever else. Quite stressful. Same with Etsy as well, or people in general rather. I've had people kind of the same sort of mind frame of the eBay, what I talked earlier about, kind of will you take £400 for a dovetail chest? And I was like, no, I won't take £400 for a dovetail chest. The £500, the priced accordingly. These are all cut by hand. There's not a machine doesn't go. Try to explain. And then I've had people get back to us and say, well, why don't you just use a machine? Yeah, it's kind of, what do you say to that? People kind of don't understand. And don't get us wrong, there's going to be some of you that are watching and just saying, David, why don't you just use machines? Why don't you get yourself some power tools and stuff? And to be honest, I am actually getting to the age now. I think I'm falling apart now. So I am actually getting to the age where I am actually going to have to start implementing some sort of power tools just to make my life a little bit easier on my back and stuff. So I don't know when that'll be. I can see it being within the next couple of years. But I'm always going to use hand tools because I enjoy using them. So that's kind of some of the experiences I've had with eBay and Etsy. I did actually open a website. That was much later on, and I didn't really have any luck with that. I don't say this to put you off. I say this because I'm really bad at business. So I'm a lot more clued up about things now, and that's with social media and everything else. But if you have got someone who has got experience with advertising and they've got a business and they're doing good, it might be just as well to actually speak to them and get some pointers. I didn't have anyone like that. Everything I've done, I've had to figure out myself, and I think that's probably been some of the major problems, because pretty much I don't know what I'm doing. As I said, I'm a lot more clued up now, but if you can get help, get help. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about social media, because I do make a little bit of money from social media. So I'm going to talk about that. So two places that I'm currently making money, that's from this podcast, and that's initially from Spreaker, if I'm pronouncing that right, and obviously YouTube. So the two of these, the amount I'm making, it really depends, but it's minute. I mean, Spreaker, depending on whether I keep up with the podcast, if life doesn't get in the way, I can make anywhere from £10 to £30 a month off that. So as you can see, it's absolutely minute. So while I'm at it, if you like what I do and you want to help out, watch me videos, comment on them, like them. Same with the podcasts, listen to it. if you want to listen to it, but any options to like or share, that's kind of what helps out people like me. And staying with that, not so long ago, I never really used to ask, like me video and this, that and the other, but it does actually help. So as I say, if you do want to support the channel or support what I do, if you enjoy it, as I say, give us a thumbs up. One of the things I learned very quickly about YouTube is the editing, and myself, and I'm surmising quite a lot of other people, just think you can just like get a camera, point the camera, and just start doing or talking or doing whatever you want. And the truth being known, especially with the videos that I'm doing lately, there's a lot of time and effort actually goes into them, to edit them, and whatever else, to put extra pictures in the video, like I do on these podcasts, and I think a lot of people, at the time myself, I didn't really expect how much time it was going to take. So when I see a video now and it's well shot and it's, the editing's good and whatever else, and it's good content, I can appreciate how much time and effort someone's put into that. And I think that's one of the issues with making money from YouTube, at least for myself. It's took us a long time to actually get to the point where I am now, to the point where I know what I'm doing wrong, because I'm still doing things wrong with the videos. I know that, but obviously I am trying to correct them. Even the last video I done, which I actually didn't mention, I did actually do a video about brace and bits, kind of how to use them, and I actually compared them to a cordless drill, and the way I edited it, the way I shot the video and everything, I've typically got more views on that video just by like changing what I do in the video. So I have got more views. Don't get us wrong, it's still minute, but it's more views than I generally get, which tells us that I'm kind of moving in the right direction. So another problem that kind of stops us from making a bit more money than I could, with me time, effort, and obviously the content, is audio. I've had major problems with audio. Again, I'm not really kind of one of these guys that knows 100% what they're doing. I'm kind of feeling it. I am learning what I'm doing. From time to time, there is actually people that will point us in the direction. So there has been a handful of people. So thank you very much. I am getting there. So one of the things I have kind of done, and if anyone's like, thinking about like making money off YouTube, starting a woodworking channel, definitely get something like this. This is like a wireless microphone, and the audio quality is absolutely day and night. I am actually trying in the van. Last week was the first time I used this, and I've done it in my sitting room. My sitting room is a really bad place to do some sort of recording because it's very echoey. But the result I got from it being in a really bad room, I thought was really good. I did get someone comment saying the audio was fine, which I was very relieved about. I thought it was fine, but obviously I'm just one person. So I am kind of messing around with different places to do it. Outside isn't too bad with this. This is pretty decent. And I'm kind of guessing in here, in the van, it's going to be pretty decent as well. I actually watched a video not so long ago, and the guy on there basically said, he's actually a woodworker, I forget the guy's name now, but he basically said, people will forgive you for a bad video, but they'll never forgive you for bad audio. And I know that firsthand. So I would definitely recommend you get some sort of like a decent like audio setup. you know, even this video I'm recording it on my phone. My phone's pretty decent. It's got really good camera. So I'm kind of okay with that. I have got a GoPro and stuff, which I do use occasionally. While we're on it for recommendations, I'd highly recommend that you get half decent tripod. So the camera's actually situated on a new tripod that I've just gotten, and it's a game changer. I can't fathom why it's took us so long to get something like this. I think it extends maximum is 67 inches, which I don't think I'll ever use, but it does go that far. And it's on the head where the camera's fixed to, is like it's got a 360 either way, you know, so I can position that camera like pretty much anywhere I want it, any angle. It's absolutely great. Obviously I've been doing like quite a bit of recording within the last couple of weeks, and that's when I got that. I think I only got that a few days ago, to be honest, but that itself is a game changer. Just the last few days of recording, it's been a pleasure just to be able to get that tripod. Highly recommend getting something like that. You know, I've done everything. I've rested it against you know, tools. I've rested it against whatever. You know, I've actually had phones in vices on clamps. You name it, I've done it. Honestly, don't be an idiot like me. Go out, and if you've got the money, go out and get yourself a decent tripod. Obviously I can't stress enough, get a decent audio setup as well. I think, to be honest, I think that's cost us a lot of time, effort, and you know, money, to be honest. Something else I do with YouTube is that I'll either do one of two things, and it's with the social media as well, social media as a whole, rather. I'll either treat it as a hobby, or I'll go full throttle and treat it as a business. The latter, the business part, tends to be very shallow when I do it. For instance, you know, kind of when the lockdowns were happening, I couldn't get work, so I didn't have a great deal to do, and then kind of I thought to myself, right, I'm going to get myself monetized on YouTube, you know, and really push. And at that time I was kind of treating it like as a business sort of thing. Obviously got myself monetized, started learning things, how to edit and stuff. Obviously I'm still learning how to do stuff like that. Got my subscribers up, you know, and I was doing quite well. And then I went back to work. I was able to get a job and go back offshore to work. So then it started getting treated as a hobby. It's like, yeah, as and when I'll do a video, and as and when I'll do this, and yeah, I do want to show people this because I think it's got value and it's going to show people how to do stuff. But yeah, I'll just kind of half-heartedly, you know. But I did want to show it, and I think that's one of my major problems. I'm not professional enough with the, like, kind of treating it as a business. But ironically, I do. This is something I want to move into in the future, because I do enjoy teaching. I have taught a couple of people, and I do enjoy doing it. And obviously I do enjoy doing educational videos where I am actually showing how to do stuff. You know, like, I love to show people what you can accomplish with minimal tools and a minimal workbench. You know, if you've got power tools and stuff, that's great. You know, I'm not against that. But you know, for the people that can't afford it, or the people that haven't got the space and so on, you know, it's kind of, I like to show, you know, things can be accomplished with hand tools. I think another one of the problems that I have is that a lot of my videos are shot outside, and when people see the videos outside, it looks unprofessional. Whereas if you compare some guy, some idiot in his back garden running around with a Ryobi saw, and then you look at another guy on YouTube he's inside, he's in a workshop, he's got all the tools around him, you know, he's got a lovely big workbench and surface or whatever. and you look at that, even I do it, I'll look at someone like that and say, he looks very, very professional. Regardless of what I look at him and think, there's no way on earth he's got the skill set that I've got. Not that I'm saying I'm some sort of master, because I'm not. I still consider myself as an amateur. But I do look at some of these people and I think, no disrespect to them, you know, they're doing great, that's excellent, and I wish them all the best. But some of them I do look at and think, he couldn't do what I could do, but I can do what he can do, if that makes sense. But he looks more professional than me, and he's obviously got a better understanding of social media and how to shoot videos and so on and so forth. So in essence, I've got skills he hasn't got, but he's got skills that I haven't got. So I personally think that is a thing where, you know, if someone sees you in a workshop, you know, where you're benching your tools and whatever else, there's a big difference. Obviously it does depend on the way you shoot videos, because I've just proven that to myself this week with the video I did shoot. Obviously if you are interested, check it out. It's going to be on my YouTube channel. At the time of recording this, it'll be the second video. So moving forward, obviously, because I do love woodworking and I'm never going to stop woodworking, and I would still like to do woodworking full time. For me at this point in time, this might change in the future, but for me at this point in time, I don't think it's the right thing for me to do, to actually pursue making and selling furniture like full time. I still think there's a lot I don't understand about business wise, and there's a lot I need to learn basically. So moving forward, I am still obviously going to make furniture. I think selling wise, if I make a piece of furniture that's not specifically for myself, it's just like, you know, it might be a project that I want to make, because there's a lot of furniture I want to make. And I think those will be the pieces that I sell, and they'll be priced accordingly. And I don't think I'm going to kind of back down with that. So that's kind of what I'm going to do in that respect. But I do want to pursue the more social media side of things. As I said, I do actually quite enjoy, you know, making videos, educational videos, if you can call them educational. So obviously I'm going to try and up the ante with that, to try and make more money, to make it more sustainable for me to actually make more content. That's kind of what I want to do. So there kind of shouldn't be a lot that changes, other than there's going to be more videos getting put out, and hopefully the content is going to be, obviously the audio's 100% guaranteed to be better, because I'm using this now, and obviously my video editing skills are getting better. So hopefully the content, it should be more rich, it should just be overall better. But that's kind of the way I want to go with that. So yeah, that's my journey so far into making money. As I said, I don't mean to put anyone off. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of clever people out there, and there's a lot of people who are more clever than me, and have got a better sense of business. So as I said, you know, that's kind of my journey. So I think I've rabbited on enough. I know it's a bit of a change here. Let us know what you think in a comment. You know, would you like us to do something like this maybe in the future, or was it boring? Let us know. You know, I'm open to criticism. You know, it does help us. As always, you know, if there's anything you want us to talk about, leave a comment, email us, unpluggedwoodworking@gmail.com. You know, leave a comment on my Instagram or whatever. Ideas are always welcome. I can't do everything, but you know, some ideas I can do. So don't be shy to leave a comment. And until the next time, I shall see and speak to you guys later.